No one wants to eat carrots. No one gives a fuck. Everyone loves fucking cows. They love hamburgers.
Hey, right on, man. Why don't you stick around and talk about it?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Stick around.
Let me answer the statement she just made, and then you feel free to ask a question.
Can I sit for a second?
Sure, man. That's what I brought the chair for. Well, hello. How's it going, everyone?
Good.
How are you?
Good.
So,
What's up?
Are we here to prove you wrong?
If you'd like, feel free to just ask questions if you want to. If you have anything off the top of your mind you're just curious about.
What arguments have you heard against veganism?
Oh, I've heard them all, my friend. I've heard them all. I've been researching this stuff for years, and it just seems like the data is overwhelming in support of everyone should reduce cruelty in their life as much as practically possible. And that's actually just the definition of veganism. Reduce your cruelty as much as practically possible, which seems pretty reasonable, right? Everyone thinks of it as this radical, extreme thing, but it's actually relatively easy. When I go to the grocery store, instead of buying this milk, I move my hand over this way and I get the plant milk. Done. Then you can start looking at the clothing you're buying. It's things like when you're directly funding the victimization or the slaughter and the rape and mutilation, the torture of innocent children, you don't want to directly fund that type of stuff. And that's what we're doing when we buy animal products, when we buy dairy, when we buy cheese, eggs, milk. They're very much children. They're very young when we slaughter and forcibly inseminate them for these products and stuff. Yeah, super easy, and pretty horrifying when you realize what it is you're actually funding. So I just think there's no reason not to reduce the cruelty in your life as much as possible.
I think it's fine. Like, God gave us this, so I'm gonna just eat it.
Oh, you think that God gave us animals to rape and torture?
Rape? I don't think we're. What?
Do you know how dairy is made?
Yeah.
How do we get milk?
Kill the cows.
Okay, how do the cows get to produce milk?
They squeeze.
They have to get pregnant, right?
Yeah.
Just like a female. So when a human woman gets pregnant, she produces milk, she lactates.
Yeah.
What do you think happens to the babies when the mother cow produces a calf? So what happens is we forcibly inseminate. We put our fists up the anus of a cow, and then we take the semen of a bull that we jacked off manually from a bull. Humans do this. This is called bestiality, when you rape another species, and then we drop that semen in the mother cow, and when they get pregnant, we take the baby and we cut their throat right after they're born. That's called veal. And then the mother cows, when they are raped so much, every 9 months they're raped over and over and over, and we hook them up to these udder machines to suck the milk out of them. When they're exhausted, they're still like teenagers in their lives. I mean, they could live to like 20, 25 years. They only live to be a few years to maybe like 10, 13 years old at most. But they've been raped so much, they're so exhausted that we then have to kill them, and that's what becomes your meat. So the dairy industry actually involves more murder and more rape and sadistic torture than any of the other industries. Yeah, it's pretty shocking, isn't it?
That sounds bad, but...
It does sound bad.
I grew up around like plantation, like on an island. So we didn't really have like all these products and stuff that the companies would make. We live off of what the land provided for us.
Totally, yeah.
So the animals that we killed, So I don't really see how we should be.
No one wants to eat carrots. No one gives a fuck. Everyone loves fucking cows. They love hamburgers.
Hey, right on, man. Why don't you stick around and talk about it?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Stick around.
Let me answer the statement she just made, and then you feel free to ask a question.
Can I sit for a second?
Sure, man. That's what I brought the chair for.
Sure.
Take a seat.
I'm not here to argue, but
So do you think that we need animal products for our health?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it that you would get from eating an animal's flesh that you can't get from? Okay, protein?
Yeah.
And what else? Anything else?
I mean, just like, I don't know, that's it.
Okay, cool. So, but right on. A lot of people think that you can only get protein from the dead flesh of an animal. But where does that animal actually get its protein when you're getting it? Plants.
Yeah.
So we feed an animal. It's like if I wanted to get protein, and I fed you a bunch of healthy plant foods, and I chopped off your arm and then ate your flesh to get that protein. When I could just go directly to the plant, right? So if it's coming from the plants themselves, you can have a vegan diet that is perfectly healthy and get all the protein you need. All plants actually have protein. So you don't have to murder an individual to get the protein. You're actually getting those nutrients secondhand by eating it out of their flesh. And then it's ridden with, carcinogens. Did you know all meat is a carcinogen? Right up there with cigarettes and asbestos. So if cigarettes had a little protein in them, would we eat them 3 times a day or feed them to our children 3 times a day? No, of course not, because it's unhealthy.
Force vegan down your throat.
She's forcing it.
Oh, hey, thank you. I appreciate
I
it.
want to thank you for being out here.
Oh, I
Has an
appreciate that.
opinion.
I know, and I'm trying to
Has an
understand. That's why I'm
opinion.
sitting here now. I'm trying to understand and share my
Before
opinion.
someone is
Maybe-
like,
No, I want to encourage people to think for themselves. So I want to give you guys the information to actually look into the data.
But like, what about things like, okay, so you said animals, they eat plants to get us to have their protein.
Totally.
We get our protein.
Right.
It's like, so like for instance, like you can't buy a synthetic turkey for Christmas or Thanksgiving. You can't like, you can't like, like how.
Are you talking about like tofurkey?
Is that
Like
a thing?
synthetic, like fake meat? Is that what you're talking about?
And I mean, any chance I get, I try like.
Yeah, tofu turkey.
I try
Yeah.
not to eat meat, but it's like you said, this is vegan, right? It's like I can't go without like dairy. It's like I can go without meat, but it's like I don't understand how people go without dairy.
Okay, why do you think you need dairy? It's breast milk of another species. Aren't we supposed to stop drinking breast milk when we're babies? About 3 years old is when we wean off. You're an adult, man. What are you still breastfeeding for?
Exactly. And,
Yeah, almond milk, right? You get the best nutrients out of it.
Sorry, almond milk and soy milk is something that I can't handle because my stomach.
Okay, there's 20,000 edible plant foods out there and only a few different types of animal agriculture products. So the options are limitless. You can totally optimize your health. Hey, thanks for hanging around asking questions. I
I
appreciate
just need
it.
help finding opportunities because my friend is vegan, vegetarian, everything. And
Oh, right on.
So when I'm with her, I try my best to eat how she.
Cool, man, cool.
We'll go talk about no meat, no nothing. We'll go places and make sure the rice isn't fried in oil, certain oil, things like that. I try to just do what she does, But sometimes it's hard because it's like it's more expensive. I'm only 21 years old, and it's like so like I don't know like.
When you go to a grocery store, hey, what's up, man?
So you're vegan?
I am.
And so why aren't you encouraging people to be vegetarian?
Oh, that's a really great question.
Wait,
So
you eat meat.
no, I'm
Wait,
vegan.
when was the last
I think
time
vegan
you
means
stopped?
both.
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
Doesn't vegan mean both? You just don't eat animal products whatsoever?
Right. I don't
Vegetarian's
fund.
kinda less lenient towards
Veganism
that.
just means reduce cruelty in your life as much as practically possible. It's very simple. It's not this radical extreme thing.
So it's
It
not
just
that
means
it's
try to
not-
reduce
not-
cruelty
not
in your
that
life.
You just don't eat it. It also has other things just to.
Like my
prevent-
clothing, yeah. So if
So
you
it's
are
like, that's not
directly
making an
funding,
animal type of thing.
right, exactly. So if I'm wearing the dead flesh of an animal, that's directly funding the murder of that animal. So yeah, if I buy it from a thrift store, a leather jacket from a thrift store, I'm still vegan because I didn't pay for an animal to be slaughtered to have their skin ripped
Okay,
off
so
and then
say-
made into a
say
jacket.
Because like, hey, this sounds stupid, but like.
No, it's
I
not
have
stupid.
like leather boots that are real leather. That
Yeah.
Are, I don't know what, like, it's a snake or something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's real, but
No.
it's like I bought those because they were already sitting there. It's not like I went out to go kill a whatever to go make.
Right. Did you buy them new or from a thrift store?
I bought them brand new.
Okay, so cool. I mean, yeah, that means that you funded an industry that provided a product that exploits animals.
Wait, so what are your
but
iron levels?
I got them.
Iron levels?
Yeah,
They're perfectly healthy.
vegetarian.
Almost all
Or,
plants have some
vegan.
iron in them. If you're getting iron from animal products, you're getting what's called heme iron, which causes cancer. Yes, there's no reason to even eat the animal products if you want to be healthy, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just really trying to understand, because I don't know.
You're asking good questions.
It's-
Yeah, thanks, have a good day.
It's just like, am I taking over your thing right now? Or?
No, and feel
Okay.
free to chime in, guys, if you have any
Feel
thoughts or
free to chime
questions. It's a
in.
very
I'm
open
looking, what are your
forum.
main sources of protein?
Well, all protein comes from plants. So when you eat protein from
What plants? Like
all plants, so vegetables,
Well, the
fruits.
chicken you're gonna eat, how do you think he got his nutrients?
Great question. So
well, yeah, but every animal is different. I'm just wondering because I know my cousin's all about it and she's good, but she can eat certain things I can't.
oh, interesting.
So
yeah.
I'm saying but you can't get your proteins worth if you eat salads all day.
Yeah, no one's saying eat salads all
So
day.
then
You want to
what
get a wide
plants?
variety
So
of
you're
plant
saying
foods.
I'm here to
plants,
back him up
thinking
now.
lettuce,
You can't just eat
tomatoes.
salads and
Yeah.
carrots 24/7 and believe that you're vegan. You have to. There are real meals. There's other meat. There's other things
Well, yeah,
that you
but
can
what
replace for
meat?
that.
That's what I'm asking.
There are like hold on, let me interject here.
Beyond
So
chicken.
there are processed vegan products that have pea protein in them, protein that comes from peas. So, but yeah, you can eat all plants. So fruits, grains, lentils, beans, there's a plethora. There's about 20,000
Yeah, I know
edible
beans
plant
and
foods,
rice are
and almost all of them
I know
have
Beans
protein.
and rice are complete protein.
Sure.
So you're saying eat like processed peas, soy?
No, I'm just saying if you want to find something that's outside of that matches your taste bud.
Be wrong. I'm just wondering because I know in order to be healthy vegetarian, healthy vegan, you have to eat nuts, and like I know same thing with the keto diet. It's all about
You don't have to eat nuts. You don't have to eat nuts.
Nuts.
Yeah, and that's the keto diet isn't a vegan
And
diet.
it's like I know, but
Okay.
yeah, I know that. My mom's a food scientist.
Okay.
I'm a scientist.
Okay, interesting.
But
so where then is, like he
so
said,
I'm just
if you're
asking-
feeding
well,
plants
I'm just
to the
asking,
animal?
Like, well, I'm saying if you're a vegan, what's your main sources besides like?
I get protein from
peas?
a wide range of plant foods. So I eat a varied plant-based diet. I eat lots of different types of plants. There's something called the 12 Daily Dozen that you can look up online, and it's been shown to optimize human health. This is what a lot of athletes are doing, and it's an easy way.
12 Daily Dozen.
Oh, it's things like, berries, cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, lentils, grains, water, get a little bit of sunlight and, exercise in your life. There's things that will help you maximize your health, and it's really, really easy. It turns out all plants have the nutrients humans need to thrive.
So you think that everyone should be vegan
Yeah.
while being healthy? You think that everyone
Yeah, you
can
don't need to be a
healthy?
healthy vegan though, but you can eat processed junk food and fake hamburgers all day. You go to Carl's Jr., they have a vegan burger at Carl's Jr.
Yeah,
You could
I
eat
know.
that 24/7, but you'd still at least be reducing the cruelty in your life.
Though, because like my friend Ariana, who's vegan, you can't go to fast food places if you're vegan because literally they don't change the oil unless you're going to sit there for 45 minutes for them to go clean everything out and we do it for you.
So, like I
They
said,
won't.
yeah, okay,
And
that's a good point. A lot of people have been talking about that.
Chicken fingers fried in your regular
Sure.
potato fries that you can't
Well,
eat
if you're
because
Sure.
serious,
If
I'm
you're-
like, well, I'm saying because I tried to go vegetarian and my body started to collapse.
Oh, yikes.
Even while doing every that. So like I'm
But-
just
but
like
that-
wondering if
that's-
you've heard of this before
that's
because
most likely because you quit the meat, lost that protein, and then
About 3 years.
didn't find something quick
Hey, high five.
to
Right,
help
keep up the
that-
good work.
because
help
the
bring
main
that protein
source
back
of
up.
proteins of soy and because I can't live off of pea protein because I'm saying like I know with like that you can put soybeans in your salad.
Yeah, but things like that.
And-
There's also like protein drinks and things like that are vegan.
Yeah,
that,
because
that'll
they're soy
help.
protein based.
Can I address one thing that you guys brought up, and that is like the Carl's Jr. thing. A lot of people will say, oh, you're not vegan because you ate something that was made, processed in a facility that has animal or it touched animal products.
No,
that's
I know
not
that's
mean
not
you're
it.
breaking your veganism. So
No,
you
I
can
know
still,
that. Well, I'm
veganism, let me
saying,
finish.
like-
Veganism by definition means reduce cruelty in your life as much as practically possible. So it's not really practical, right, to go and say this was made in a facility that also processed and touched other products, so you're not vegan anymore. No, it just means simply
Because
to
I'm
reduce
on a
the
group
cruelty.
that says veganism can shut your body down. Like, and my
I would love to
mom's
see
a
evidence
food-
for that.
My mom's a food scientist, and she said, I mean, my mom has a very different opinion on life than a lot of people do, just because of her life. Because, like you're saying, protein drinks. Well, most of them are.
I didn't say anything about protein
Well, no,
drinks.
he did. And
Oh,
most
okay.
of them are soy based.
He's just here asking questions. He doesn't necessarily represent what I'm trying, the information I'm trying to share.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
more as he's talking.
Right,
so
right,
I'm chiming
right.
in too much. So.
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, because I just like to spread the word of food allergies. Because when you go to restaurants, they're vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free is an allergen. My friend I do have a few nice handful of friends who are like severely celiac disease.
Sure, yeah, me too.
But like I feel like it's taking away from food allergies. Oh yeah, veganism, vegetarian, more important than food allergies.
I have 2 family members with a gluten intolerance problem. One has celiacs, and they're both vegan, and they don't have a problem with it.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I am allergic to corn, soy, dairy, like everything.
Well, dairy is a non-vegan product, so that's
I know-
perfectly fine.
Yeah,
You can
I know,
still
but
be
I'm
vegan.
saying like I'm allergic to all these things. And
Corn
so
and
when
soy?
I go,
You don't have to eat corn and soy to be vegan. There are, again, let me remind you, there are 20,000 edible plant foods out there.
So
It's
just in
really
general,
easy.
It's very easy to Google what you can and can't.
Yeah, totally.
No,
and I would.
I
not
know,
to be
but I'm
rude or
saying when I
anything,
go to
I'm
a
just like-
restaurant, I'm saying because people like you thinking vegan's more important than food allergies. Well, it's not because it's a choice to be vegan.
Did I say that it was more important than food allergies? I definitely
No, but
sympathize
you're
with
like-
people that
yeah,
have
but
eating
you're like,
disorders
oh,
and
just
food
look it
allergies,
up.
but you can still be vegan. No, I have resources here that you can look up if you're interested to educate yourself.
Well,
but what
saying
I'm
just in the
There's
real
always
world,
gonna
like
be an
I just want to
option
put
to-
it
This
out
is the
there.
real world. I'm being
Yeah,
realistic
I know
here.
that.
So.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Oh,
You
okay.
have a right. You have a right to do your thing, but I feel because people like you are so about like this kind of stuff, that when I go to a restaurant, even when I was at Sutter Hall and I would get food allergy attacks once a week and have to go to the hospital every few times a month,
That sucks.
because they're
From
all
here at
about,
school?
everyone's like, people, like, I'm not saying one person, because it's like multiple people saying, oh, you're more healthy being vegan or vegetarian. So when I go to restaurants, because it used to be all about food allergies, 90s, late 2000s, and starting in the 2010s, because people are like, oh yeah, vegan and vegetarian is healthy, they're taking away from food allergies. People you.
I don't mean to take it. I don't think it's fair to say people like me, because I have not said anything to that
I'm
tune.
not saying you, but I'm saying the more people out there, my cousin's much different.
So we can't promote compassion because you feel like you're being victimized by people who are promoting compassion? That seems kind of illogical, don't you think?
Wouldn't this help food allergies?
No.
With going with things more natural than...
Absolutely. So that's the point I was going to get back to.
help,
What we're
because
noticing with
plants are
science
natural.
is humans thrive on a plant-based diet. We're biologically inclined to depend on plant-based foods. So even if food allergies or an eating disorder is an issue, you can still optimize your health with a whole food plant-based diet. But my point here is veganism means to, again, reduce cruelty in your life as much as practically possible. So even if you have a food allergy, you don't need to be cruel and fund products that are damaging to the environment, to the individuals, individual animals that are getting slaughtered, and to your health.
Oh, well, my family had I know in my family bloodline they owned a animal farm.
Oh sure, so did mine. I come from a long line of cattle farmers.
I buy whole chickens and butcher them myself because I think it's fun.
Okay, so how would you feel though if you were in the victim's shoes? If you were the chicken, do you think they would feel like that's fine?
Well, I know my mom's saying is we're omnivores, we're supposed to eat both.
Okay, what biologic evidence do you have that we're omnivorous?
I got one.
Okay,
All right,
shoot.
so from an evolutionary standpoint, humans went from being, very dull creatures to being the intelligent species we are because we started eating cooked meat.
Okay, interesting.
The cooked meat we ate led to our brains developing as much as we can to develop society.
Right, do you have a source to cite for that?
No idea.
Okay, right on. No worries. I used to think the same thing because that's what we learn in school, right? Hold on one second. That's what we learn in school, but that actually turns out to be completely untrue. Humans didn't necessarily eat meat for the predominant part of their evolution. Because humans right now thrive biologically on a plant-based diet, we're now finding in bone and fossil evidence of human teeth and stuff that humans ate 90 to 98% plant-based throughout their life. So it was a tiny little blip in our human evolution that in a survival situation, the Inuits up in Alaska or in Arctic regions, that we had to maybe get the breast milk from a cow to get some fat for the winter, or to eat some fish to get the fat to hold us through the winter. But that was such a small blip in our evolution that we don't actually have a biologic dependency. So, and there's some other things that we learn in school that are totally big misconceptions about human biology. For example, incisors. People say these are proof that we are supposed to eat meat. When you actually look at gorillas, they have these huge 4-inch canines, but they're herbivores. The biggest animal with the biggest canines, the hippopotamus, also an herbivore. We don't have claws.
You realize we have canines for a reason as well, right?
Right, to tear the stems of plants and to crush nuts and stuff. Biologically, that's what we're finding in bone evidence of teeth. Also, our jaw's a rotary jaw. It moves around.
If I had a son right now and all I did was feed him fruit and vegetables, he would not grow up to be he would have a disability or something along those lines.
Oh, interesting. I'd love to see evidence for that because the largest research institution on health, the American Dietetics Association, has proven and concluded, along with the British Dietetics Association, that you can be perfectly healthy and optimize your health on a plant-based diet throughout all stages of life, infancy through old age.
Okay, I understand your point, but it's for a fact I know, the Indian things in the past during evolution, they hunted, they went for animals, they went for buffalo.
Sure.
All that stuff.
Yeah, we hunted in the past, definitely.
And if they found a plant that's edible that they could eat, they'll eat that too because they couldn't go to the grocery store to get food. They took whatever they could get, and it's I don't know,
Just because we hunted in the past.
What would half of our restaurants in Chico be without having a meat dish?
They would just be vegan. So we're seeing a rise in plant-based products, and they're replacing. Actually, a lot of people see a rise in plant-based products because more people are paying for it. It's a supply and demand system. So the more we pay for those products, the more companies are going to start to produce them. That's why we see
the rise in demand. I would love to do it. I would just want to still eat the foods that I enjoy.
Sure.
vegan or vegetarian wise type of thing. You know, I like hamburgers. I want a hamburger still.
Okay, well, just because we like something, does that morally justify
I live like an hour.
like taking the life of an innocent individual?
Well, no, but if I like it, I'm not gonna go vegan if I can't have it.
All my cousins, we all live.
Okay,
I don't
so
care that. I don't care that. I don't care that much about a cow that I never met before.
okay, and you don't necessarily have to care that much about a cow.
I'm trying to be cold-hearted.
No, I get what you're saying. A lot of vegans don't even care about animals. They just realize that their taste buds aren't worth more than the life of a sentient individual. That's all you have to do is tell me that your taste buds. Okay, yeah. So, and it's, you know, it is a momentary, fleeting palatary pleasure.
But it's like, okay, so if I were to go vegan today, I'd have to throw out all my food. What would I have? What could I go buy to make meals at home? Can you give me an answer?
Yeah, totally. Just a bunch of plants. Go to the produce department. You know, you can get, again, like I was telling her, beans, lentils, rice,
the meat is
fruits,
vegetables. The meat is like the main dish of a meal, you know.
Sure.
So that's gonna.
I would replace that with something that is also caloric and nutrients. I choose not to eat fish. Right.
It's technically animals.
And it's a carcinogen. I mean, it's not good for your body. It's a sentient. No, all meat is a carcinogen, right up there with asbestos and cigarettes.
Well, yeah, but it's lost.
So yeah.
Steak is good for you because it hires your iron and things like that.
Steak has what's called, all meat has heme iron in it, not just iron that you would get from plants. When you eat iron from plants, it turns it into heme iron, which is cancerous when you eat the dead flesh of another individual.
Okay, so one more thing is, I've eaten meat my whole life. I've met people who have not eaten meat their entire life. I'm not saying I'm the best looking or anything like that, but like the way I look is a lot healthier than they look, and I eat meat.
Well, you can still be unhealthy on a vegan diet. It doesn't mean that, just like how you can be unhealthy on an animal-based diet.
Well, how do you feel about it as a child, as a growing child?
The American Dietetics Association, the largest research institution on health, has said that a plant-based diet is perfectly healthy for people of all ages.
If they get the right number of protein, if their parents are educated and know how much protein.
I do have your cards.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
If they have the right number of protein. Well, the reason I'm so against it is because my cousin Noah, she is so her parents didn't give her enough protein, and so she's only 4'11", 5 feet, around 5 feet tall.
Okay.
And never had a fully developed brain, super small, not I mean, as she gets older and I know, because neither of her parents grew up vegetarian. My uncle was all he'd eat as a child was white Wonder Bread with processed ham and American cheese. That's all he ate as a kid.
Right.
So now his parents obviously are not and my cousin now eats shrimp and shellfish and whatever, and eats chicken, just not red meat.
So I would look at the evidence. I would look at actual fact-based peer-reviewed data.
It's only healthy if you're educated.
Well, just like anything, you can eat, again, an animal diet that is also unhealthy for you. In fact, if you're eating animal products, chances are you're increasing your mortality rates, you're increasing your chance of diabetes, obesity, you're getting carcinogens, you're going to get IGF hormones that cause cancer. You don't get any of that from plants.
My grandparents and great-grandparents live until their 80s, 90s.
Sure, I know people that smoked up until they were 100 and they were perfectly fine. That doesn't mean smoking is good for you. What you're using is anecdotal evidence to corroborate your anti-vegan bias because you feel like you're being attacked for your food allergies because of veganism. When in reality, vegans are actually promoting health overall for the planet, for the animals, and for the individuals who are consuming the products. So if you have a food allergy, you could still totally be vegan. But yeah, I mean, you're right in you're saying that education is an important part of any aspect of life. Before you do anything, you want to get educated, which is why I have resources here for people, so that way they're well informed. I just want to encourage people to think for themselves and not just, regurgitate information that society's shoved down our throats, because 97% of the world is still eating animal products, even though we have no biological imperative that requires us to do so. It's destroying the planet, it's victimizing these innocent, beautiful creatures. There's no reason for it, yet the majority of people do it because we're force-fed, literally, this information telling us we need these products.
They're tasty. Sorry.
Don't apologize to me. Don't apologize to me.
I'm pro-butchery.
So sure. Do you think that a sensory pleasure justifies murdering someone?
Well, I mean, I do know there's.
So I might like the taste of your flesh. Does that mean I can murder you? Is that morally justified? How is it? Okay, good.
Cannibalism versus minority.
So you're talking about speciesism.
Oh, that just gave me a weird thought. So for minorities, that means it's okay to
Right, you're going down a
Kill
slippery slope.
minorities.
Yeah, so what I said was
As long as it's a
speciesism.
minority, it's okay.
I'm not saying, I'm saying the opposite of cannibalism. They're not,
So-
they're yeah, whatever, you can call me
So you think
whatever.
because it has fur instead of human skin, or because it speaks a different language than you, then it deserves to be slaughtered for your taste buds?
Given the rest, just like my cousin. You and my cousin.
What's that?
You and my cousin would be pro friends.
Right on. Hey, have them come by to my booth sometime. But you didn't answer my question.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Are you able to answer the question, you think?
Well, like with your saying with like, I'm saying with, like you can call it speciesism, but I'm saying with like the way that humans, yes, we're now like looking, we can go backwards, help the environment, but I'm saying like how you're saying shove down your throat. Well, I grew up like, you know, my grandma teaching me how to spatchcock when I was 12 and whatever, and now in college I get like, I make the best like meat dishes when I'm the most angry.
Are
so
you,
like,
are you vegan?
No.
I'm sorry, you guys can keep it. I just want to.
No, you're good. You're good. So wait, you said.
spread this all over the band if you want. Like, I don't care.
So I didn't really get the last part of what you're saying there. You said you make the best meat dishes when you're angry. I'm not sure what you mean by that. What's your point?
Well, like I can get my anger by like seasoning and cooking and just like getting my anger out on something else, even if it's a meat, even if it's a falafel dish, which is like
I'm not sure what that has to do with any of what we're talking about.
Well,
here.
well, like with
Your anger out,
veganism, like cutting meat and like just,
Okay.
like pounding it out gets my anger out.
Oh, okay. So cutting into the flesh of another animal makes you feel good?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just getting like you and everyone else are like I mean, there's just so much like in the world of like going veggie, and I'm just like I can't imagine it just because of like and my grandmother taught me how to stuff a turkey and baste it and like, cut it. And
Like I said, we're all very heavily conditioned to consume these products and exploit individuals, but that doesn't make it right. In Saudi Arabia, it's cultural tradition to mutilate the genitals of a young female. Does that make it okay or morally right? No, of course not, but they see women as lesser than. Just because it's culture. Just because it's our culture here to victimize innocent individuals. Like if I had a dog here and I was beating it to a bloody pulp, would you stop me or say anything?
No, I think it's just that I'm saying.
No, you wouldn't?
I'm saying I'm saying I would tell you to stop for certain things.
Oh, okay,
but I'm
right
saying
on.
The Homo sapien, how he said that the Homo sapien culture, people are just trying to tell us, oh no, we need to go 100% backwards and not like. So I'm saying. So I guess my question is, are you like just turn backwards and go like straight carnivore to straight like straight carnivore, straight to plant eater? Are you like, do you support like if I were to do it slowly, or are you going straight from? Are you
I support doing what is cruelty-free. So you have, the reason I say everyone should be vegan is because we all have the opportunity. There's no reason not to be vegan. We all have the accessibility, the convenience is there. There's healthy food options available to us.
Yeah, but I'm saying, are you with like vegan? Are you saying I should go straight?
To a plant-based diet? Sure, yeah, why not?
Like cold turkey is what you like. What do you support? Cold turkey or slightly or slowly?
I support whatever works for you in optimizing your ability to reduce cruelty in your diet. So a lot of people, maybe they're not ready to throw out all their leather clothing that they bought in the past. That's fine, I don't care. Still wear your leather clothes. That's cool. I wore leather boots for years after I was vegan, but I didn't buy new ones. I didn't pay to get an animal's skin peeled off its body because I saw it as an injustice. So yeah, so I'm saying do what's right for you under the idea that there's no reason for you to be endorsing cruelty on a mass scale. There's simply no reason. So, and a lot of people, yeah, they go cold turkey, they go overnight, they go, I say more power to you. As long as you know the reasons for what you're doing, so that way you stick with it and you have a well-balanced lifestyle.
You definitely know. You definitely have backup sources, which makes it.
Yeah, I've done my research. Yeah. And I want to encourage you to, again, look into that stuff and kind of think about it for yourself, because there's a lot of misconceptions about what veganism is. It just, again, means reduce your cruelty as much as possible. And I want to finish like what you were talking about as far as human evolution and whether we are biological omnivores or carnivores or herbivores. The evidence suggests we're totally herbivorous through and through, head to toe. And I was saying about our jaws. Our jaws show that we're herbivores because they're rotary jaws, whereas an omnivore has a jaw that just goes up and down. It doesn't move for grinding. Grinding is for plants. So another thing, the teeth of omnivores are serrated, so they can slice meat and just swallow it instantly. We have flat molars, for grinding, again, grinding plant foods. We find that consistent with all herbivores. There's also our throat and our saliva is made specifically to process plant foods, not meats. That's why most people who die of a choking case of choking, it's because they had a meat product, because our esophagus isn't actually designed to choke down meat. Also, our digestive tract is about 3 times longer than a carnivore or an omnivore's. Yeah, so it's made to break down plants on a slow process, whereas meat is readily absorbed into the body when you are an omnivore and you are a carnivore. And so when you eat that meat, you need a shorter length of your intestines. They have more acidity in there, so they can break it down instantly and kick it out. We have a really long one, so it gives us cancer. It's like when you see it, have you ever seen like a dead body, like a dead animal before, the rotting flesh? That's what's happening inside of your body as it's slowly being pushed through your very long intestines. That's not normal, that's what gives us all the cancer and stuff like that. Yeah, so there's a million reasons we don't have claws.
Cancer in this world, as people say.
Yeah, you know what? Thanks to Monsanto and pesticides, there is a risk with the air and the soil and the water. But what we can do is our best, right? That's not an excuse to just say, forget about it. That's called an appeal to futility. Saying, oh, there's horrible things happening in the world, so why not try to be a good person?
Every drug causes suicide. Every drug causes like infections. Every this, every that.
Sure. Right. Yeah, the world is a horrible place, but we can.
What's your background? What's your major?
Psychology. I graduated about 6 years ago.
Okay, psych. Okay, I see this.
So, why are you not fruitarian?
Fruitarian?
Yeah.
Because humans don't necessarily need to just consume fruits. I mean, some humans are going to like more leafy greens, some are going to like more whole grains, some are going to like more fruits, but that's just depending on you. As long as you're getting a varied plant-based diet, you can perfectly, optimize your health.
So you do it more for like the health standpoints and the moral standpoints?
I start with morality because I realized my taste buds aren't worth more than a living individual.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that I did the research and I realized, oh my gosh, you can maximize, humans aren't supposed to be eating these products, which makes sense because when you see slaughterhouse footage, or like I was saying, if I had a dog here or a pig and I was beating it to a bloody pulp, most people here would be grossed out and they try to stop me. You know, they have an innate genetic moral compass that tells us we don't want to see suffering. And that tells us that you don't get hungry, you don't start salivating when you see me beating a pig or cutting its throat, you know. And so that tells you that you aren't biologically inclined. And it just all clicked with me. The whole morality, moving on to the health aspect. And then I saw what's happening with climate change, that animal agriculture is the leading cause of species extinction, deforestation, ocean dead zones, desertification, all these horrible climate things.
It's a freezer.
I'm only asking because my friend.
I thought you just had it chilling in your backpack.
Oh, okay, interesting.
She started with veganism.
Okay, but she just wanted straight up fruits.
I don't know. I
love fruit. It's probably my favorite of all the things because they're so sweet and yeah.
I'm probably wrong in thinking this, but I think she mentioned something like vegetables can feel pain. It's only fruits that actually reproduce by being eaten.
Interesting.
So vegetables don't necessarily. I don't want to say want because vegetables aren't sentient.
Sure, right. Yeah, you're right.
They don't want to be eaten in the sense that they don't need to be.
Interesting.
And they'll develop their own, what's the word? Protections, you know?
Okay, like defense mechanisms.
Yeah, chili peppers will develop spiciness so animals don't eat them, and then...
Okay, yeah.
Fruits will specifically make themselves desirable so they are eaten.
That's very interesting. You know, I've seen research like that. I've also seen a lot of research that shows some people are lacking in nutrients on a fruitarian diet, which, you know, like, you do you, boo. For me, it's like, as long as you're not paying for cruelty, like paying for the needless slaughter and rape and torture and mutilation of an individual, then do whatever you want. Like most vegans, they do it for the moral and ethical aspect, and so they're not really worried about their health. I know a lot of vegans that but you can. It's important to know that you can maximize your health with a plant-based diet, but you don't have to. Eat whatever you want. But yeah, there is evidence that shows maybe fruitarianism isn't what everyone is designed for, and that most people should be getting a variety of whole food plants and stuff like that. And then going back to the science of plants themselves, every plant responds to stimuli. So a lot of plants, you know, when you touch them, they react in some way, shape, or form. But like you said, you need a central nervous system to be sentient and to process pain. And plants don't have a brain as a central nervous system. Plants don't have a central nervous system, unlike other animals. So yeah, unlike the hierarchy of sentience, plants are at the very, very, very bottom, all plants. And so that's why, you know, I encourage people just to eat what they're biologically designed for, the bottom of the sentient ladder there. Yeah.
Also, I noticed that camera, if this goes on the internet, is that where you can like blur my face or?
Of course. Thanks for letting me know. I will. It'll just be on YouTube. I don't even have any subscribers yet. I'm just kind of trying to get the information out there for people.
I prefer a little bit of, what's the word?
Anonymity?
Yeah, there you go.
You got it. I totally get you. I respect that.
I support carnivorism.
Okay. Even though it results in the needless slaughter of an innocent individual?
That's why we have farms. We do it nice and easy on them.
Oh, nice and easy. So if I gave you a life of freedom and then snuck up behind you and cut your throat, would you say, that's fine, he did it without me knowing,
So
and it was
you're
nice and
saying
easy?
So you think cannibalism is the same thing as eating nice cow products?
What's the difference between an animal that's non-human and humans? What's your validation? Like what do you say is a...
Killing our same species versus like other species?
Right, so that's called
then you're saying-
speciesism.
So then you're saying, like with, what's an example? Like with certain animals that eat other animals, like with wolves, like going out and...
Well, wolves are carnivores. Humans are not omnivorous or carnivorous.
That a carnivore eating a different species is okay?
Because they're biologically designed, that's what's in their nature. Humans have a moral agency. You have the ability to choose between right and wrong and to know the difference between right and wrong. So then you have a moral obligation, responsibility to not needlessly slaughter an innocent child, right? Jeffrey Dahmer sedated his victims before he killed them. Is that okay then to you? Is that ethical?
I think we're just not on the same page, because I'm saying, like, I would never hurt like another human. Like I would never hurt like.
Well, pigs have the intelligence of a 3-year-old child.
Same area species.
What is it? Is it the intelligence factor you think that makes you better than other animals?
I'm not saying I'm better. I'm saying
okay.
I grew up in.
You wouldn't kill a human, but you'd kill an animal. I'm asking why. What is the difference that makes you better than them, that they deserve to be slaughtered?
Yeah, I guess with the hierarchy.
Of intelligence, you're saying?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so pigs have the intelligence of a 3-year-old human child. Are you saying by that logic we should just slaughter all 3-year-old human children and younger because they're
it's
too
not
dumb?
Our species. I'm saying with the species scale.
Okay, but what is it about the species? What you're doing is similar to racism and sexism. You're saying that another species doesn't deserve the right to live because my taste buds and culture. Just because that's the way I've been doing things. Even though I don't need it biologically, it's destroying the planet and it's creating innocent, the death of innocent victims. Why? You're still going to do it anyway. Do you see how there's a fallacious reasoning there? There's inconsistencies in your morality and your logic?
I've been taking classes, and I just, with one of my advisors and mentors of life, we had a conversation yesterday, and we had a town hall meeting about Israel and Palestine. That's different. But
sorry to throw back. I gotta go, but
hey, I appreciate you hanging out. You got a card, right?
Really appreciate it. Yeah.
Cool. Have a good night, man.
People can understand each other's opinions and views of Israel versus Palestinians in Palestine, but that doesn't mean you have to agree. And she said that people can understand and have conversations of why they believe something is right over wrong, and we can say, yeah, your brain is correct, I understand where you're coming from, but that doesn't mean we have to agree on the same position. That, like, I respect you, and like I respect you, like, going and like respect, like, not killing animals and doing what you feel is right for me. But that's like, that was like the concept we were talking about, is like certain people agree, like understand like someone's opinion. We don't have to necessarily agree with them, but I respect other people's opinions, but other people don't respect others' opinions.
Sure.
And I'm saying that, like, I'm not trying to just have an argument with, like, I'm trying to see if you'll understand my position and respect my opinion, even though that's not your opinion.
Sure.
Because
So
I feel like I feel that a lot of the times people don't respect that. I'm just saying, and I keep saying I understand your opinion. My cousin's just like you. Do I think my cousin's stupid? No. Do I think you're stupid? No. I'm saying I try to, just like you think vegan prove me wrong, I'm saying everyone should understand, like I'm not a carnivore, like I have like fruits and veggies in my backpack, but my point of this is like prove me wrong that I can't eat. Like, that's our culture. It's been going on for the past, since humans have been around.
Okay, that's not a justification though. It's just that we've been raping as a culture. Like I said, Saudi Arabia, they mutilate the genitals of young women. Just because it's culture, that's not a moral justification, you see? So it's difficult for me to respect a decision that creates innocent victims. Like,
so do you have proof that the first Homo sapiens were vegan?
No, I never said that Homo sapiens were vegan. In fact, I said that humans have hunted throughout our evolution, but it was a small blip in our evolution that we never developed a biological dependency on animal agriculture products. So therefore, in a modern civilized society, there's no reason for us to be consuming these products. they're damaging to our health, and when we know we don't need them for our health, then there is no moral justification. Whereas, like you said, a lion or a coyote out in the wild, they have a justification for eating dead flesh because they're biologically inclined to do so. That's the way nature has made them. Nature has not made us
biologically inclined, and I'm going with the culture standpoint, which are both.
Which is illogical, and that's speciesist. Do you see that?
So you're saying with culture, well, you're saying, oh, like with inclined, so you're saying that my culture.
And my culture too. I mean, I live in the culture too.
I'm not saying the human culture, I'm saying my ethnicity culture.
What's your ethnicity?
It doesn't matter what my ethnicity is.
Okay, every culture around the world is predominantly eating animal agriculture products. So you're not special.
Saying, I know, but I'm not saying from the meat prospect how you're saying with like, oh, homie, that hunting is only a small prospect. So in my culture, it's very common for us to get together and celebrate and just celebrate certain things more than other things. So you're saying that, like, I'm not saying what we eat or what we don't eat. I mean, I know my culture is very food oriented, that everything has to have a lot of food, otherwise it's not considered our culture.
Right, every culture's like that.
Yeah.
Food is a big part of culture. Yeah. But does that mean that you need to slaughter an innocent individual?
So you're saying destroy the culture that's been going around for over 5,000 years?
Cultures evolve. It used to be in our culture to enslave black people. It used to be in our culture to abuse women, to own women's rights. Like, that doesn't mean it's okay. What happens is in societies and civilizations is we evolve.
This should be a culture involved, like an
evolution of our species. Right. So, and that's what's happening, whether I like it or not. Again, a lot of the information I provided here aren't my personal opinions. These are all facts. So the fact is, people are making a change to a plant-based lifestyle. Yeah, it's happening very rapidly, which is very good, because one of the biggest problems with our cultures today is the idea that we need to slaughter innocent children for food. Yeah.
I disagree with that, but...
With what aspect?
That, like, with children, like, definitely, I'm gonna go.
Okay, but you eat meat, right? So you're funding the slaughter of innocent children.
Whatever.
Those animals are just babies when they get killed.
I need my
What is it?
ability to do my butchering to get my stresses out.
Okay, so you're saying the only reason you eat meat is because you have anger and you get joy out of stabbing the dead flesh of an animal?
No, well, when I was a child, I learned how to slaughter animals from the time I've been like 10 years old.
Sure, a lot of people did, but that doesn't make it okay, right?
My uncles used to go hunting together.
Okay, does that make it okay though? Like, again, just
so
because we do something.
Fishing is wrong too?
The animal, do you know that fish feel pain?
Yeah.
Okay, so what makes you think fishing is right? How do you humanely kill a sentient individual?
Memories as a child.
Memories as a child. I'm not sure I understand how that statement justifies killing an innocent individual. You're
saying our developing culture. Well, our culture is developed to do that.
Yes, doesn't necessarily mean we need to continue carrying on sadistic, torturous traditions, murderous traditions. You have the ability to choose between right and wrong.
Well, I know I called my mom after I went to the town hall meeting of Israelis versus Palestinians. And I asked my mom, why as a child in kindergarten, preschool, were we taught don't hit, pinch, bite, or you know that kind of thing? There's all kinds of songs of don't hurt each other. We need to live as a peaceful community.
Right.
And my mom said it's part of the human. Like, why are there wars every single day all over the world and us killing each other? And with the Civil War, and we were standing on there shooting another person, whatever. And my mom said that through as a psychologist, I'm assuming you've heard this, that it's part of the human nature to hurt others, and it's just part of the human brain development and the human. I mean, we can change. And I asked my mom, I'm like, and I mentioned this, and I asked my mom, like, well, why can't we turn this around? And she's like, the human brain will never change. We can evolve into a different species, but the current species we are in of who we are as a people that's our instinct with hunting. And
so if you have science to back that up, I would love to see it. But what we're seeing is overwhelming data that supports the fact that humans are innately altruistic. So when you put a baby in a crib with an apple and a rabbit, they don't tear into the flesh of the rabbit and then play with the apple. They play with the apple or the rabbit, and then they eat the apple because it smells sweet. It's a biological tendency to respect living sentient beings So there's no actual biological imperative that requires us to be murderous.
Smell the
Murdering, let me finish.
rabbit.
Can I finish real quick? So murdering and self-destruction isn't actually conducive to human behavior or human evolution. Murdering is a negative side effect of brainwash and mass conditioning by those in power. Those in power, the wealthy elite, the top 1%, have brainwashed us into being self-destructive. That's the reason you see mass murder and war. It's not because you and I elected for those wars to happen. You know who goes to those wars? Poor people. Poor people, not the rich, violent people, the top 1%. Those are the most violent sociopaths in our society. Most of the people, the 90 to 99% of the civilians here at the grassroots level, we are compassionate individuals innately in our genes. And now there's more evidence that shows in our evolution that proves we're innately altruistic and compassionate, and that's we would have destroyed ourselves by now. A species, an organism, doesn't evolve to this level of advanced intelligence and societal structures with the innate drive to just self-destruct and murder, go around stabbing and shooting people 24/7. We've never evolved to this point if that was in our nature. So there's so much proof. The data is abundant that humans are innately compassionate. Now, again, if you saw me punching a dog or slitting the throat of a dog, would you be comfortable with that? Or would you say something? Would you try to stop me? Because 9 out of 10 people, studies show, would stop me. But you would just go, hey, why are you doing that? Even though the dog is screaming in pain and I'm punching it, you're just gonna walk up and you're gonna go, why are you doing that? And my answer would be, I'm gonna eat it.
First.
Was what?
What if the dog was hurting you first?
Well, that's self-defense, and veganism means reduce cruelty in your life as much as practically possible. It doesn't mean let animals attack you violently. You can still defend yourself if you're being attacked by another animal, of course. Self-defense is different. It's like when a mosquito bites you. Those are carrying deadly viruses in some cases. Some vegans are going to smack that mosquito. That's an act of self-defense. That's morally justified. Yeah, it's not my opinion. This is just what science has told us about human behavior.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering, with self-defense, as in with the wars and self-defense, with people pissed off at each other.
No, they pit us against each other in wars. That's not really a comparable analogy. So let's go back to the dog. You ask me, why are you punching that dog? And I say, oh, I'm going to eat it. I'm punching it to a bloody pulp so I can eventually eat it. Got a problem with that? What would you say?
That's not nice.
Right, you would say that's not nice. Exactly, because you have an innate moral compass that tells you you shouldn't be treating a sentient being with that level of disrespect. But what you are doing when you pay for those...
I'm brainwashed with the human...
We are all, yes, totally. And it's not because of you, it's because we are all brainwashed. Again, like I said, 97, I've only been vegan for 3 years. Right up until then, I was brainwashed out of my mind. I thought humans were omnivores until I actually did research and I educated myself. But yeah, I am saying that 97% of the world is absolutely brainwashed because they're still needlessly consuming products that victimize an innocent creature. Now, most people, again, statistically 9 out of 10 people, they'll see slaughterhouse footage and it doesn't make them hungry. It doesn't make their salivary glands act up. It makes them nauseous. It makes them want to turn away. There's a visceral biological reaction that indicates you're not a violent creature, that you're not supposed to be consuming those products. But what has happened now is we're conditioned to be disconnected from the slaughterhouse footage, and we pay for products like what you were just eating without even thinking about the fact that that pig was put in a gas chamber before you ate it. Did you know that that's the humane process for slaughtering pigs, is we put them in gas chambers? They thrash around and burn from the inside out. Watch footage of that and see how it makes you feel. Oh, okay.
It's part of my culture.
Okay, that's fine. So what is it that is different about pigs that makes you feel like it's okay to eat cows, chickens, and that type of thing?
Because I've been brainwashed by my parents, and I like.
I like your honesty. Yeah, totally. That's totally fine.
Sorry,
so
beef tastes good.
Right. And again, don't you keep apologizing to me because you think something tastes good. I think that your flesh would taste good, but that doesn't give me a right to chop off your head and eat you, right?
Well, I guess I'm a speciesist. That's what you said.
The speciesist.
That's what I am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least you're aware.
Cannibalism is wrong. Don't shoot your own type. Yeah. We're not.
Don't shoot your own type. So that's what white people were saying. Back during the times of slavery, they were saying, oh, we got to respect whites and segregate ourselves from the blacks because their skin is different.
Well, yeah, but at the time,
you see how that's...
Yeah, but it wasn't, we weren't educated. I do...
Exactly, and now you're educated. Now you know your speciesist.
Right. No, we weren't educated that they were the same species as we are. They just had different genetics.
We knew they were the same species. Are you really trying to argue that white people didn't know black humans were humans?
Well, no, we knew they were humans, but I'm saying it's the same concept as a white cat versus a black cat.
I don't know what you mean. They're still cats.
Yeah,
what's happening now is speciesism, is where non-human animals get victimized at a mass rate. We're looking at a modern day holocaust against the animals. More animals are killed for your taste buds every year than in any of all the world wars combined. All the human wars around the world combined.
I'm educated in that because of studying climate change. Yeah, I know it's affecting climate change.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't really talking about the effect on the environment, but I was talking about the number of lives lost.
Well, I'm saying like how you're saying we're producing too many cows, chickens, whatever. Yeah, like there's too much butane going into the environment. So we can limit that, but I'm saying as a brainwashed human, I can't live without my steak.
So you're choosing now to be willfully ignorant, and you're choosing to commit to the brainwashing tactics that have conditioned your behavior.
Well, I told you, I try to go vegan as like not as educated as you, but knowing proteins I can eat, and I was doing all the proteins, eating a lot of those proteins, and my body still collapsed.
I would, well, first of all, that's anecdotal. So that's not actually rooted in science. What you need to be doing is, again, like educating yourself. So it sounds like it sounds like the problem with your nutrient deficiencies was with your education. Like you said you weren't very well educated and your body collapsed. You can also be poorly educated and eat an animal agriculture-based diet, and your body will also collapse. So you can't blame veganism. You have to blame your level of awareness.
The number of proteins, like the grams of proteins that I need to eat.
Yeah, it's about 30 grams for a female, and I think it's like 50 for a male. That's how much you're supposed to get on a daily basis.
Well, I'm saying like, so you're giving me different ways to get proteins, but I'm saying then you need to eat more food to get those proteins.
Well, okay, so that's a really good point, and that's totally understandable. So when you eat a little piece of meat like this big, it's calorically dense. It has a lot of calories in it, but it doesn't have nutrients. Whereas if you eat a larger amount of beans, sure, it's gonna be more abundant quantity-wise, but for the same calories, and it's gonna have nutrients that actually feed your body. So what happens when you eat meat, all that fat and all the oil and stuff, it tells your body you're full and you feel, oh, I feel really, really energized. But it's a false signal being sent to your body saying that you're full because you're not actually getting any nutrients. Nutrient density is what you need. So yeah, you wanna match, that's important that you brought that up because that may be why you kind of crash. And a lot of people do that.
I can't handle that much food because I have like an, my doctor says that some of my body parts are infantile because I had a growth stunt in like the 7th grade.
Oh yikes!
And
wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm a very special person, but you're saying prove me wrong, and I'm saying have you ever thought of these things? Like if you're just an average adult on the street,
Well, if you're a human, everyone should be vegan. So I'm talking about everyone that is a human being can and should be vegan because it's readily accessible, you can optimize your health, and you don't need to victimize innocent children, innocent animals.
Do you have any questions, Tyler?
Hey, yeah, man, you've been hanging around a long time. Are you just observing?
What is
My
it?
name's Christian.
Christian.
Call me Tyler.
That's what Emma said.
Who?
I'm sorry, Emma.
Oh, it's okay. I mix up all their names all the time. How are you?
I appreciate good.
How are you doing, sir?
Nice to meet you.
I'm just waiting for a class to start.
Oh,
I just wanted
okay.
to hear what was going on.
I really appreciate you hanging around, man. That's great. That's great.
Okay, I'm sorry. Emma kept saying Kaylin's Tyler and I. That's so
Yeah,
weird.
that's fine.
That's so weird. I'll just text her later tonight and let her have it for emojis.
So do you have any thoughts or questions in listening to the different discussions we had?
I think I try to be. I am as open-minded as I possibly can be with this subject. I like both of your guys' side of the argument a lot. It's really interesting to hear.
Yeah.
It gives me something to do, definitely, instead of just sitting meeting. Yeah.
Nice. Do you think there would be any obstacles for you for going vegan?
Personally, probably yeah. Just because my entire life I've been under like the philosophy of if it tastes good, eat it. If it doesn't, don't eat it.
Right.
Like as a kid, I always hated vegetables.
Right.
And I still don't like vegetables. And I'm trying to be like as honest as I can.
I appreciate that. I love it.
And I put it in my mouth. If it tasted good, I would eat it. Let's go. We'll eat only lettuce.
Right.
But I just I gag every time I put lettuce in my mouth, no matter what. I just never have been able to get around it. So I don't eat very many vegetables, and I usually have to steer towards more like unhealthy products, packaged things, meat, all that.
Right.
That's like the route I'm on pretty much.
Did you know that there are vegan meats and cheeses and stuff out there, so you can still have the same taste bud and texture, pleasure
seen those.
without victimizing another animal?
Yeah, I've never tried one though.
Oh, give it a try, man. Excellent.
Maybe.
Hey, did you take a card?
I've seen the Impossible. I've had the Impossible
Oh yeah,
burger.
I heard about that.
Have you taken a card already?
I'll take one.
Yeah. There's some resources, especially I would have you check out vegan22.com. It would give you a free mentor, and you can ask them as many questions as you want. It'll walk you through how to practice a healthy and effective vegan diet for you, to help you make that transition. Because I gotta tell you, the reason I'm telling everyone should be vegan is because it's so readily accessible nowadays. You can go any direction and you'll run into a delicious plant-based option.
Like falafels.
Sure, yeah. They make, there's the Impossible Burger at Burger King, the Beyond Burger at Carl's Jr. They have vegan burgers at the Banshee, at Burgers and Brew. Have you ever been to Ohm out here? Oh, so good. Or Live Life Juice.
Yeah,
there's so many good vegan options that there's no excuse. So what I like to encourage people to ask themselves is, are my taste buds worth more than the life of a sentient individual? What would you say?
I don't want to be like disrespectful.
No, I want an honest answer.
I've never, and it's not. I'm not saying it's right.
Right.
I'm not like proud. I'm not gonna go like, all right, here I go. I'm gonna go. You know,
I made a prayer for my chicken before I cut it.
No, I don't think that made a difference to the chicken, though.
Yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful or rude in anything I ever say. It's conversation. But I feel I've never had a problem with eating meat, thinking. Or feeling bad for an animal or anything like that.
Have you seen an animal get its throat slit or be put in a gas chamber before?
Not put in a gas chamber. I've seen animals slaughtered before though, yeah.
Okay. And how does it make you feel when you watch an animal?
It's not a pretty sight.
Right. Does it make you hungry?
No, it's nasty.
Okay. Yeah, so if you had to do that yourself, if I said that if you, for example, the only way you could eat a burger was by prepping the burger yourself from beginning to end, do you think you'd be able to do that, the whole process?
No, that'd be horrible.
So then your taste buds, you realize your taste buds aren't necessarily, deep in your core, they aren't necessarily morally worth more than the life of an innocent sentient individual. Yep. So now it's just a matter of aligning your actions with that proclaimed morality that you have deep within.
So you say
Yeah, totally. Most people are like that, man. Most people are just kind of disconnected. You know, they don't really. Because what we use is a piece of paper to put down, and then someone gives us a product.
Yeah.
That's how the system works.
Yeah.
We don't see where that product comes from. We don't hear the screams of the innocent, children with their throat getting slit. Yeah, it's a very dark, sadistic practice, our animal agriculture industry, when you actually look into what happens. And we just think of it as the simple $1 for a product.
Yeah.
You know.
So you think I'm like bad because like I've seen it.
Oh no.
Or like.
No, I was.
Because I got the whole chicken with everything, head and everything, or like my parents would get like the whole fish, because I've got the whole fish, cut the head off, butchered it, and like filleted the fish. And I watch Food Network all the time, and I know
I used to too.
We'll say the prayer, we'll say the prayer of like thank you to the turkey of Thanksgiving, and then we'll stuff it. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I was raised.
Oh, that's how I was raised too. I was raised that way too. So for 26 years of my life,
I've watched the videos, and I think it's not. Like I don't pay attention, but like when I get I know I've ground meat from scratch, and give me the whole in chicken, give me the whole chicken. I'll take this to this, that to that, and I'll cut the chicken into its parts, and it's fun. It's
fun for you, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it bad that I take my stress out on other animals?
Well, at first you asked, if you're just using an animal to take your stress out on, that's very much like what serial killers do behaviorally, cognitively. That's the same behavior. Animals are actually made up of the same biological components. They're dead flesh. And you can ask a cannibal this. They'll tell you, a human tastes just like pork. Have you ever had a human before? It tastes just like pork. Isn't that weird and creepy? So you're getting the same sensory pleasure that a cannibal would be getting. That's because biologically we're very similar to these other animals. So I would just keep that in mind, that these animals are not that different from us. So when you're taking out your anger on an innocent chicken and you're stabbing it or whatever, and you think that feels good, remember that is a behavior in line with what humans do that are serial murderers. So what that can do is actually create problems in your brain. It can create hormonal imbalances that result in an inability to feel empathy for others. Yeah, so I would discourage that, but I don't think that makes you a bad person, because again, I understand you were conditioned to thrive on that type of lifestyle. So I have my stepdad, he fished for his whole life, and it's really hard for him to stop fishing since he's been vegan, because he did it for so long. He knows it's wrong. He now can relate and empathize. He has empathy and compassion for the fish, because he never knew they felt so much pain before. He never knew he didn't need it for his health. He thought this was an essential thing, so he saw it as a sport. It was fun for him. Now, very slowly over the years, he's realizing, because he's educated himself and he's broke from the societal conditioning, and the traditions of his, upbringing, he's realized that, oh my gosh, I did have that empathy buried deep, suppressed inside. I just didn't align my actions with what my moral compass was trying to tell me. And a lot of this happens to us when we're young. And so you can totally change a child when they're young and get them to suppress what is genetically, predisposed. Like we are predisposed to being compassionate.
Yeah,
you can
I had
suppress
my
that.
favorite, like when I was a little kid, and whenever
Yep.
there's like special holidays, like
Yep.
like how I made like chicken noodle soup this week, and I was taught how, like I called my grandma, I'm like, how do you do that? Like just to get a refresher on how to make it. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, spatchcock it, cut it into its parts, then put it in the pot, make it all brown and nice till it has its covering.
Sure.
Then you do this, and like it's just like
Just a
second
tradition.
nature.
Yep, exactly. It's just
It's been in
a.
my family for multiple generations.
Yep. Most of us have had practiced those traditions because we live in
Yeah,
planet
put the
Earth. We live in the
skins
world.
off,
I mean, like I
make
said,
it
97.
crispy, put some garlic salt.
Well, 97%
Eat
of
it.
the world consumes and believes in the consumption and exploitation of animals. And so, yeah, I'm not saying that all of those 97% of people are bad people. I think that just like I was, they were conditioned. And I want to do what I want to do here is provide people the opportunity to
So
think
that
for
don't
themselves.
have the understanding necessarily, or are like willing to change.
Right. Yeah, I want to encourage people to, again, think for themselves, because I think if a lot of people reflect deep within, they'll be uncomfortable with the idea of knowing that this chicken is actually very sentient, and they feel love, they feel fear and pain and suffering. How would you like it if another species that was self-proclaimed to be superior to you came in and just started forcibly making you to have children, breed children repeatedly just to slit those children's throats and eat their flesh, and then eventually do that to you? You'd probably be a little uncomfortable with that. You would feel like a victim. So I would ask you to put yourself in the shoes of the victim here in the oppressed. Yeah, because they are, they do feel, they have families, they have brothers and sisters and sons and daughters, very much like we do. They emote very much like we do. They have individual personalities. I worked on a farm for a long time. They don't have a brain?
Yeah, well, they don't realize.
You're saying chickens don't have a brain?
They don't realize what's going on.
How do you, what tells you, okay, interesting. What tells you that a chicken isn't aware that it's being slaughtered?
Well, like when they do, like they just go along their daily life of ice and put them in the cart, and you get profit and you make yummy stuff.
Have you seen pigs scream when you stab them?
Everyone
squeal?
screams when you stab them.
Right, well, plants don't scream when you stab them. So that's why I eat plants instead of creatures, beings, living sentient animals. Because they're very much like humans. You're right in that everyone, as in pigs, cows,
Flowers
chickens,
will,
they all
that means
scream
they're
when you
sad.
stab them.
When you cut flowers, they will. That means they're sad.
But we're talking about sentience, right? And plants can respond to stimuli, but that doesn't mean they register pain or sentience. You need a central nervous system, which is a brain, to register pain. And that's how we know chickens can register pain. And that's why we see them scream and thrashing. If you cut their leg off, they freak out, they bleed out, and they die. If you cut the twig off a tree, it grows a new twig, because trees and plants are designed to provide for the living organisms on this planet.
Interesting standpoint.
Well, it's not, an opinion of mine, just as a reminder. It's not a belief that I hold. This is actually just science that I'm sharing with you.
Yeah, no, I'm aware, like with trees and twigs versus
Okay.
like legs and stuff.
Okay, good, excellent.
It's just like when we cut, like, well, yeah, I mean, if you do it to a harsh way, if you cut a whole leg off, that's different than when you get a little like cut or scrape on your arm or whatever.
Or are you saying that, well, yeah, of course, but we don't just give chickens, when we eat them, a little cut or scrape. We chop their head off. So there's a huge difference there. Yeah, I would ask you to consider the victim in that situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have fun in your next class.
Goodbye. You too.